Okay, ladies and gentlemen, episode 3 of the Real Entrepreneurship podcast. Today we're here with Brian Marra. Welcome.
Thank you, Jerry.
I've known Brian for how long now? Is it 4 years, 3 years, something like that?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
We met on an interesting story that we'll get to later. But Brian owns... he's owned several businesses for a while here, and has a lot of good stories and like that. So we'll get into all that. Just as anybody that may be listening for the first time, and for Brian it may not have listened yet. The idea of this podcast is that we are kind of showcasing real entrepreneurs. I feel like the world is flooded right now with people that they claim to be entrepreneurs, almost like it's the cool thing to do now. People that claim to be salespeople, people that are online selling ebooks and these get-rich-quick schemes and like that. And I think it takes away from the people that are actually out there busting their ass and hustling and working hard. And so the idea with this is to showcase real business owners, real entrepreneurs, people that and I say on the website and the documentation, people that would rather work 60 hours a week working for themselves than 40 for somebody else.
Yeah, no, I think this is great, man. I think what you're doing here is awesome. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, man. That's when we first started. You were definitely one of the first people that came to mind. You're on the website, and anybody that doesn't know, jerrykenna.com is live, and there's a page on there for hustlers, and Brian is showcased. Although, dude, you got to get me a better picture.
I will. Yeah, okay. I just saw that the other day.
Yeah, you got to get me a better picture. So we are now live on iTunes, Google Play. I'm working on Spotify, and we have our first video on YouTube. Our episode 2 is on YouTube, and this will also be on YouTube. So,
awesome.
So with all that being said, what is the story of Brian Marra?
Well, where would you like to start, Jerry?
Where did you start? So you've, as far as I know, you've always been business owner, entrepreneur.
Oh, I guess when this all started, I think it's always been in my blood. I think it's always been something I knew I wanted to do, was have my own business. I believe back when I was 14 or 15, actually no, it was before that. I want to say I was 12. I started a little business called Brian's Odd Jobs and Stuff. All right. And I remember taking my dad's business cards from his job and putting tape over his portion of the card, right? And then I would write all of my information on the back of the card. So I would just take his cards and make my own. But I would do anything from cutting grass to changing light bulbs. I mean, there was nothing that I wouldn't do, and I would just go around the neighborhood and try to just sell myself. I really wasn't selling a service or a business. I was selling myself as, here I am. What do you need me to do?
Yeah, I'll do anything.
That's exactly it. And I'll fast forward to right now. That still holds up. That still holds true to today.
Yeah.
There isn't anything that I wouldn't do or try, but now money is the motivator, so whatever I can make money on, I do. But yeah, so it started back then. I got through high school working for a gentleman who now, well, he was my neighbor. I remember, and I guess I'll tell you the whole story. Neighbor kid where I grew up was telling me about a gentleman at the end of the road who needed a patio put in. I was 15. I was 15 years old at the time. And I said, well, where's he live? Where's the house located? And he told me down the street, on the left there. So I went down, knocked on the door, and the gentleman answered and pretty much looked at me funny and said, yeah, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I heard you had a patio that needed put in. And I'm your guy. He said, well, how many have you put in? I said, this will be my first.
How old were you?
15. And he says, all right, come around back. So I went around back, showed me where it was, he had a couple pallets they were bricks. I think they were Freeport brick from Freeport. They were old bricks, but had that there and had sand brought in and everything else. So, I mean, I started the next day digging, and everything was done by hand.
Materials are there. You just need to put them down.
Correct. Yeah. So, so I started, like I said, that was already my nature. I knew not that I want to be a bricklayer or a patio installer. It was me getting paid for something that somebody else needed, and I was offering my services, so, and that time, and I will tell you, that time though, I was paid by the hour. So I wasn't paid by the job. I was just happy to go work. But I was 15 and I was making $15 an hour working for this guy. That was big money, back then. And actually, it's still somewhat big money anymore, but so that started me, thinking, well, all my friends are working these fast food jobs. I don't know what the minimum wage was back then, but I think it was $5.15 or whatever it was. And here I am making 3 times that, just going out there and hustling.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I did. That's all I did. I went and knocked on that door, and no difference into today. All you got to do is answer that phone or make that call, So like I said, so I got through the high school got through high school working and doing things like that, working for this gentleman for many years. And then about the same time, I don't know what it was, but I was laying in bed. It was one Saturday morning. I was thinking about how to make money. And it was one Saturday morning. I was laying there, and I don't know why, but pressure washing popped in my head. I've never pressure washed in my life. I've never owned a pressure washer. My parents, I've never even used one. But I thought, it's a great idea, right? It popped in my head. So I got dressed, went up to Sears, and I bought a pressure washer. I don't know how much I paid for it at the time. So I bought a pressure washer. I put it in the back of my car, and I went knocking on doors trying to sell pressure washing services, right? I got a job. That was on Saturday. Sunday, I made enough. I had enough made already in that day and a half that paid off my pressure washer and a little bit more money. So I went back and I took the pressure washer back to Sears, and I bought the biggest one they had. So come Monday, now I have this, whatever it was, $2,000 pressure washer at the time, and I'm making business cards and going out and promoting pressure washing. And so I was doing this in high school. So I had a pressure washing business, and then one day I was at a gas station, and I was talking to a guy. And the guy behind me, after I got done talking to that gentleman, the guy behind me asked me if I would ever consider being in sales. And, I said, well, I never really thought of it, but, it's what I've been doing. It's what I've been doing anyway, selling myself, right? So he says, well, I would like for you to come in and talk to us, interview, and become a salesman for our company. I said, well, I'm still in high school. And he says, well, when do you graduate? I told him, a couple months. He said, well, we're building a gas station, and we're going to need somebody to work nights and weekends. Would you mind applying for that position? Start working weekends, and then when you graduate, I want to bring you down into sales and working for our other company. I won't mention names right now, but so I did. So as soon as I graduated, I was working in sales for this company, and I thought it was great. I was in a suit and tie, and thought I had, I thought I had the world now, right? I got this real job. I'm working with adults, and getting a real paycheck, but I still wasn't happy. I'm still pressure washing on the weekends, and I found myself making more money on the weekends than I was at this job. So I was only at this job for about 3 months. So I've only had a real job for 3 months of my life, other than working as a kid for he's a really good friend of mine, and on his farm. But that was, the only time I ever really had a boss. A real boss was this job I had for 3 months, and so I was doing the pressure washing I'm going to community college. And while I'm doing that, excuse me, a friend of mine whose father was in sales, he was selling, he sold Sprint and Nextel.
Yep.
But he was a business-to-business sales guy. So his job was to go to businesses and, like you, he'd come in here and at the time, everybody still had pagers. Everybody still had, or nobody had a phone. So you had pagers, and cell phones were really just coming into play. So there was a lot of people that needed phones. So he says, while you're doing all that, come work with me, and I'll pay you commission. You go out business to business. You see somebody, that has a landscaping business, whatever it may be, sell them phones. So this is gravy, right? Everybody needs a phone. So now, hope I didn't lose you. So now I'm still in college.
Yep.
Community college. I have a pressure washing business, and I'm also selling phones.
Yep.
The phones started taking off. The phones might cut out.
No, you're good. It's just
all right. So the phones started taking off, the sales. So I said, you know what? Why don't I just open up a store, and I'll just have a storefront, and I'll start selling phones out of a store. So my uncle in New Kensington had a small little retail store, and I told him I wanted to open up a cell phone store, and he said, all right, I want to help you. He says, how about first 3 months are free for rent? And the rent was cheap. It was $350 a month or something like that. And so I thought that was a big deal. So I'm going to school, got the pressure washing business. Now I'm going to open up a cell phone store. And at the time, I was kind of going through it was a bad relationship. Everybody has them, but I was actually getting myself into, at that time, some credit card debt because of this bad relationship I had, right? So I shouldn't say that. The bad relationship was over, so I was in some credit card debt.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to open up this cell phone store. I got the pressure washing business, going to school, and now I just met, I've known my wife, but we just started dating. Mm-hmm. So I was telling her what I wanted to do. And the problem I had, so I had the 3 months free of rent, but the problem I had was, how do I buy inventory? Because now, I had some credit cards that were maxed out, and I was in a bad place there for a little bit. Financially, I was working my butt off, but I was struggling. And what's funny is, my wife I was about to open a store, and I told her, I said, my girlfriend, my wife, I said, I need a cash register. I said, I'm kind of strapped for cash. Can't even buy the cash register. So my wife surprised me and bought me a cash register from Staples, right?
Nice.
Yeah. So I got this cash register, and I got it in a small little store, and now I got everything set up, but I need money to put in the drawer. Yeah. That's how I've spent everything now on buying it. The credit cards, the debt I already had, I increased by buying all this inventory for my store and the setup and the display cases and everything else. I didn't have any money to put in the drawer. So a friend of mine loaned me, I believe it was $100 to put in the cash register. So I got all this stuff going while I'm still in college. Store opens up. We start selling phones like crazy. I mean, it was nuts. The phones left and right were just leaving this place. So within, 48 hours, I give him his $100 back. My girlfriend, my wife at the time, didn't want
for the register.
For the register, yeah. But we started booming. So now, while I'm at school, can't concentrate. I'm constantly on the phone, taking care of stuff. I have guys cleaning decks and porches and sidewalks. And now I have people that are working in my cell phone store. So I'm going nuts at school. Well, I eventually ended up selling the pressure washing business. So I sold it to a gentleman who bought everything, bought the trailer, bought, I don't know how many pressure washers I had at the time, but he bought all those. And then the cell phone store was kicking some butt. moving forward, I started going to Robert Morris, my, third year and fourth year of college. While I was there, same thing, but now I believe we had 2 stores running at that point in time. Still same thing though. I had people working for me. There was nothing that I could do from school. School was actually getting in the way.
Yeah.
It was getting in the way of me making money and making my business bigger, right?
Yeah.
So, eventually, I had enough people running those stores. Sold that pressure washing business. And sorry, I'm trying to think of. Yeah. I'm trying to go back many years here and trying to get this all in order for you. But to make the long story short, the stores took off, and I ended up finishing school, but it was one of those things that kind of dragged on for me. Believe it or not, I never did graduate college. No. I thought I did. And what happened? I filled out the forms that said, are you marching? No. Cap and gown sizes. NA, whatever. Where should we mail your diploma? Put the address, whatever it was, and at the time, and sent that card in. 9 months later, I called the school. I said, I never received my diploma. And they says, well, let me check here. And they looked it up, and they said, well, you didn't graduate. So what do you mean? I went through the whole program. Like, of course I graduated. They said, you're short 3 credits. I said, you got to be kidding me. No wonder why I had a light schedule my last semester, right? So you're short 3 credits. So they said, well, you can, there's an option that they call it clapping out of a class. So I said, all right, well, what do I have to do for that? I said, well, here's your, and it was an elective too. So yeah, it's crazy. So at this point, all that debt I told you I paid all that off. I'm sitting pretty now, right? So I told the guy, I said, listen, I don't believe this is my fault. Obviously, it was the counselor's fault. I sat there. He looked at what all the credits, looked at everything I needed, and put me in the classes that I was supposed to have to finish. And I said, part of it's his fault, part of it's my fault for not probably checking, right? I said, why don't I just send you a $5,000 donation to the school? That's pretty much what the class would cost, and we just call it even. They wouldn't accept the donation. I didn't say bribe. No, it was donation. So I ended up buying the book, and I don't know. I don't know what it was, but anyway, never finished reading it. Never took the CLEP test. Never got my diploma.
3 credits.
3 credits, but I knew I would never need it. I'll continue talking about a little bit about work, but the college, to me, I'm not real big on it. I'm not big on school at all. I believe there's certain things you need to learn. Number one, it's how money works. It's the biggest one, right? So they don't teach you that in school. So, but how money works. So you learn about the value of the dollar and how it's made and how it's spent and how it's taxed. And then you can take classes to really focus on what you want to do. Like you, for instance, want to be an accountant, you take accounting classes. Yep. There's no reason why you need to be taking
philosophy
and earth and space. Yeah. But anyway, so stores took off. I was in the right place, right time. In 2001, Cricket Communications came to Pittsburgh, and I was given the opportunity to open up, 1 or 2 stores of theirs. So I jumped on that. Yeah. And fast forwarding, 2007, I got bought out. Became a good friend of mine. I don't know how many stores he has now, 10 or 13 of them, but our one store that we owned was, I believe, the second most, lucrative store in the Pittsburgh market. So it was kicking butt. And I believe he had number 1 and number 3, and he wanted number 2. So he made me an offer at the time I couldn't refuse. So I got, I got bought out from that business.
Yeah.
So then I actually went, that was 2007. 2008 was coming along, and I sold my business without knowing what I was going to do next. And during that time, I bought some property, some real estate, because everything was flipping at the time. Every channel you went on or turned the channel to was talking about flipping real estate. So I thought I'd be able to do something like that, because now I got money in the bank and no plan.
Right.
It was one of the probably one of the, I don't want to say dark, but it was kind of one of the greatest times of my life and saddest at the same time, because I had what everybody wanted, but I didn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
I had no clue, I had no clue on how to invest it. I had no clue on how to use it or I shouldn't say not that. I should say I didn't know with the plan. I didn't know the route I wanted to take for my life. I didn't know what businesses to open or start or whatever. So my dad's in transportation, the trucking industry, and I was talking to him, and I said, why don't we open up a trucking business? We had this plan. It was going to be called Route 79 Express. We're going to run express shipments up and down 79 and like 10 miles east and west of 79. And if you remember, in 2008, the economy went to shit.
Yep.
And almost every trucking company was going out of business, selling off, it was just plummeting, right? Yeah. So I actually lost a little bit of money trying to create that and start that. But I'm glad I did at the time and not pursue it, because I was starting the race on the last lap.
Yeah.
And there was no way I was going to be able to pull through that, especially when all the big guys were closing their doors.
Yeah.
So then again, just killing time.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what I was going to do. I ended up I was talking to a friend of mine who had a janitorial business, and he says, why don't you get into carpet cleaning and doing textile and upholstery cleaning? I says, I've never done it. Tell me more about it. I knew nothing about it. And he says, well, the first thing I'll tell you is if you get yourself a steam cleaning truck and equipment, I can give you about $100,000 a year in cleaning with the accounts that I have. I said, well, that's a great start. That's probably what the route I should take at this point. So being myself, I had to get a cleaning truck. So I ordered the biggest, baddest cleaning truck ever made.
Yeah. And
it was a little overkill. I think the truck cost me $130,000 for this thing, right? Nobody in Pittsburgh had it. So I figured, oh man, this is going to be great. I got the biggest, baddest truck. It's going to be able to steam clean anything. The extraction is amazing. The carpets are dry. So their carpets are dry in record time, because that's what they were selling, because of the vacuum on this truck. It really took out the water. So I ordered this truck, and the truck was being made out in Prescott, Arizona. And while it was being made, the place I ordered it from told me about these classes that you can take to learn how to clean carpet. So, all right, well, let's sign me up.
Yeah.
So there was like a 1 week class, I think, of carpet cleaning, and 3-day class of upholstery cleaning, whatever it may be. So my truck's being made. I've yet to clean a carpet, and I'm in class learning how to clean carpets. So I remember this guy pulling up, and he had I think it was a white Mercedes. And not that cars to me don't mean anything, but seeing this guy in a brand new Mercedes, he's got to do something, right? To be able to afford the Mercedes. So he came in, and he's in class. He's sitting next to me. So I started asking. I said, class didn't even start yet. I said, so what do you do? He says, I own a restoration business. I said, what's restoration? And he says, we insurance claims. He says, when a house has a fire or flood or pipe break, our company goes in and, takes care of it. I said, so you build the insurance companies. And now my wheels are spinning because, a lot of times to make any money, you got to go where the money is. And who has the money is the insurance companies and the government. And I figured it'd be easier for me to build the insurance companies, right? So we got through class, and boom, right away, I started doing research on opening up my own restoration company.
Yep.
I still have yet to clean a carpet, by the way, right? So
your truck's not even built yet.
Truck's not built yet. It's being built as I'm planning. I'm planning another business,
you're
right?
Selling it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So no, I didn't sell it. The truck was done. I flew out to Arizona, drove it back, and we started cleaning carpets. While we were doing that, what I did was, I know all this stuff now, but I didn't know back then because I didn't have anybody mentoring me. I didn't have anybody teaching me. I was learning by mistake,
yep.
Right?
Trial by fire.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So I went back to the same store that I ordered this truck from, and it was a store that specialized in selling restoration equipment, carpet cleaning, chemicals, all that stuff. And I started talking to him about, where do I learn about drying out homes and doing restoration work? So he said, oh, there's schools everywhere. So did some research, found a company that helps you learn all the marketing basics on how to market a restoration company. Because here I am, I have no clue what I'm doing, right?
Right.
So I reached out to them. They said, yeah, absolutely. It's $5,000 a start, whatever it is, $800 a month, 3-year contract or 3-year commitment. I said, well, that's what I want to do. That's what I got to do. So I had that. They were in Kansas. Flew out to Kansas, spent a week and a half, whatever it may be, learning all about marketing. So I now know how to market the business. Well, at least I think I was taught a little bit on how to market restoration, but now I have no clue on how to dry a home. I have nothing. I knew nothing about any of this. So I was told that there were drying schools and flood houses where you go in, you flood a house, and you dry the house. But they teach you the science behind it, because it's not just setting up a dehumidifier and fans. There's actually science behind it to figure out how fast you can dry a home, right? Or not how fast, but how efficient you can dry a home and do it right. So I went around the country and I just started flying to all these places, learning how to dry and how to do my job right. So I within a few months I had all kinds of certifications. I could clean carpets. Didn't really do that yet, but clean carpets, upholstery, and now I got certified in doing mold work and restoration work, right?
Yeah.
So we come back. I was actually working. I started this out of my house, so I remember having like all this chemicals and everything down in my basement of my house. But now that I got this restoration business, I need a bigger place. So I found a warehouse, started renting the warehouse, and I spent, I don't know, $100,000, I think maybe $150,000 on drying equipment. And my funds are now kind of getting a little low again, right? Because I've spent all this money on stuff that I thought I was going to, or that I wanted to start a business, but I have yet to really make any money because all I keep doing is spending it, and flying around in trainings and survey. So anyways, started the restoration business while we were doing some carpet. Well, the only carpet cleaning we really did was for this one gentleman that has this business. So we were working as a sub, but I just started marketing myself. I started going to insurance agents and plumbers and contractors, property management companies, and selling my restoration services. And business started taking off, man. I just, one claim after another start coming in, and we'd keep buying more equipment, and start hiring some more people, and and now I think our restoration business is 9 years old.
9. You've been doing it for 9 years.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's going on 10. Yeah, it'll be going on 10 years.
Okay,
Yep.
so you were renting warehouse space. That's not where you are now. I know you own the building you're in.
No, yeah, we ended up buying a building. We rented for a few years. We rented for probably 6 years.
Okay.
6 years, and then we bought a building.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. 2 buildings, actually.
Yeah. So that's how we met. So I don't know if I'm sure you remember. I had a property in Harrison Township in Natrona that had the pipe.
Yeah, I do remember.
The neighbor's house pipe broke, flooded my basement, the attached duplex. And I called Hugh Rumbaugh, who was on episode 1. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. I'm new into the real estate game, and I got 3.5 feet of water in the basement of this property. Harrison Township Water Authority just called me. Now what the hell? Mm-hmm. He said, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I said, okay. So I met him out there. As soon as he walked in, he's like, I got to call somebody. And he called you, and you pulled up. And the next day, 7 o'clock in the morning, you had a bunch of guys there. The place was cleaned out, dry as a bone in 3 days. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
So I can vouch. Unflooded does good work.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have grown. We've grown leaps and bounds. We're constantly buying equipment, trucks, and hiring guys. So we business is doing pretty good.
That's good.
And they say there's that 5-year mark, but they say once you get past the 5 years, you have a healthy business. But I think you can do it quicker than that. You can. It's all in marketing. It's all in selling yourself and getting people to trust you and believe in you. Yeah. People buy, and I was taught this at that marketing class back 9-10 years ago. People buy from people they like. They could care less about. At the time when I got that carpet cleaning truck, I'm thinking, I'll have all this business. They'll be, because the truck said how thorough it can clean and how fast the carpets will dry from the extraction of the truck. I thought, this truck's going to make me so much money, but it's not the truck, it's me. Mm-hmm. The people have no clue what that truck will do if I'm not out there telling them,
right,
and showing them.
And if you're an asshole, it doesn't matter what that truck can do. They're not letting you in the house.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So people have to like you. So you have to have, and that's something really not that you're not going to learn in school. It can't be taught. Being a people person can't be taught. It's something that you have to want to do. You have to, instead of talking, you have to be a better listener, right? I'm like the opposite I'm doing right now. I think I've talked for the whole 45 minutes.
But 45 minutes already.
I don't even know. But no, so you have to be a good listener.
Yeah.
And people want to tell their story, right?
Yeah.
People want people to listen to their story. Yep. And if you're that listener and you listen to somebody telling their story, they almost they're glued to you. They want to tell you more.
Yep. That's huge. And it's in my business too. If you just let people talk, let people, even just in sales, trying to get a client, people, and in finance and accounting, like my business, people are very private a lot of times. This stuff is very, personal information. But I can sit in front of somebody and start asking them questions. But then the key is to shut up and let people talk. And people will tell you their deepest secrets, because once they feel like they can trust you, and you just give them the opportunity, tell me what's going on, let me help you, and then stop. Mm-hmm. And they just that's the best way to get people to. My dad's he's just awesome in sales, and he obviously gave me a ton of pointers, and I took business and sales in school. I can't tell you that I used any of that stuff. It was all from trial and error and learning from other people doing it. Right. And like I said, my dad, big part of what I do and the business person I've become, sales, one pointer I was, when we were talking about getting people to talk, he'll walk in to an office and he just starts scanning the office, scanning for anything, right? Yep. If he sees a tennis racket in the corner or a golf ball up on the bookshelf, a sailboat, he knows what to talk about.
Especially if it was golf, and that's all he does, but if there was tennis, he started talking about tennis, and you're talking about something they want to talk about. So they're more receptive
Yep.
to you. Once they start talking, they're going to give you your turn.
Yep.
Listen to their story first, get to know somebody, get them to like you.
Yep.
You don't want to walk into a place telling your whole story. And that's what a lot of people, I think that's where a lot of sales guys make mistakes.
Yep.
Is I can't go into your office and say, Jerry, listen, let's pretend we never met, right? I'm, Mr. Kenna, if your place ever floods, call us. We're the best. We got the best equipment, best guys, best training, best. You don't give a shit about that. You don't care about that, But if I come in and let's not even talk about what I do. Just want to introduce myself.
Yep.
And let's talk about just the weather and whatever sports are on at that point in time. Get to know the person.
Yep.
Again, people buy from people they like. You will remember me more by that conversation than you'll ever remember me telling you about how great my business is.
We started recently, and we've talked about it. We started offering credit card processing, and that's one of the industries that everybody is like, I don't know. There's a huge percentage of people that sell credit card processing that are sleazy sales reps, and
sure.
A lot of times you get cold calls and like people just drop in your office, and so you walk into an office or a store, and hi, I sell credit card processing, and people's eyes glaze over, and they're like, yeah, get out. And I see that problem all the time, and a lot of times these sales reps come in and they're trying to speak so fast before the owner of the company can say get out.
Yeah, they're trying to fit it all in.
Yeah, they try to fit it all in, but he may not say get out. You know what I mean? But you going in there and going, I sell credit card processing and I can be the rate. Just give me your. It's like, come on, man. That's not. But you go in there and you introduce yourself, and you talk about their business. Talk about them.
Sure.
Talk about but if you're talking about credit card processing, notice the machine that they have on their desk, on their table. Oh, you use whatever company. How do you like them? And then let them talk.
Yep.
Because a lot of times they're like, oh, I hate that. They take so much money. I pay so much in fees. I pay this. I'm locked into this contract. But if you shut up and let them talk, they will tell you how to sell it.
That was another trick my dad taught me too, is never ask a question that they can answer with a yes or a no.
Right.
Ask the question where you have to have a response. Ask the question that's going to get them talking. Conversation. Yeah. The only way to answer it is with full sentences.
Right.
And that takes some practice.
It does.
Because all through life, everything's simple and,
quick,
yes, no. Yeah.
And you want to, I don't know. I think people think, especially in sales, especially a sales like that, where you're automatically on the defensive, they want to say, I don't know, are you interested? That's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
They're interested if you let them get interested in it, but they have to like you. You have to come off, and you have to understand that the last 5 people that came into this shop and did this were probably sleazy, and he didn't like them.
Correct, yeah.
So you have to overcome that. You can't go in there with a chip on your shoulder like, well, I'm not that guy. You have to prove to them that you're not that guy. An example of that is my uncle's a police officer, and he's a motor officer. And he always jokes around about how whenever a motor officer gets off his motorcycle on a traffic stop, you got these boots on, you got this gear on, you got your helmet on, and you automatically have a look about you that this driver is probably going to be on the defensive. Like, look at this fucking guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You got to go to that window and completely overcome that instantly by being pleasant, friendly, and be the opposite of the stereotype they're expecting. Mm-hmm. And that's what you have to do when you're in a position like that.
Sure.
You have to expect that stereotype and then just be a nice person. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Yeah. Be a nice person. Yeah. So no, it's huge. It's huge. So you're selling. If you're going out on sales calls, you're going out and speaking to insurance agents, and you're not really selling directly to the public necessarily, because you're looking for referral business.
Nobody is ever shopping for water damage. Unless of course they're denied on their policy.
Yeah.
Then they start shopping.
Sure.
So then they start Google searching and Angie's List shopping and stuff like that. Then they want the estimates, and you know what? Great story. It kind of goes with what we're talking about. 2 days ago, I get called out on a job, it's a crawl space job, and we get there, or I get there, and I got a brand new pair of Timberland Pro shoes on, brand new pair of jeans. And he says, all right, the crawl space is under the deck, and when you get there, here's a screwdriver. You got to take out the 4 screws, crawl through that hole, and then feel for the ladder. You'll go down. It's 7 feet, and then it's a full basement. It's a full crawl space basement is what it is. So here I am, hands and knees, army crawled under a deck. And I'm thinking, oh, please don't be snakes. Please don't be snakes. Get there, and there's this window screen, handmade or homemade window screen. I had to take out the 4 screws, shine my light in, and all you see is tails running, mice. Oh my God, I got to go in this thing, right? And I was more pissed off about my shoes because I just put these damn things on, brand new freaking pair of shoes, and that's all I keep thinking is I'm messing, I'm scuffing my shoes, and I could care less about anything at that point. Well, snakes in my shoes, but I was so mad about my shoes getting all scuffed up. So, but anyway, I go in and I do the whole thing. I measure out the crawl. I do my estimating, right? Take all the photos and everything else. Come back out of the hole, put it all back together, army crawl out, try to get as much mud off of me as possible. Go to the front door, and I talk to the gentleman. And I talk to him sincerely for a good, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And we talked about his situation he's in. He just bought this house, and his wife's due, any day. They have mold all through that crawl space. It was a house that somebody had flipped. And they spent all the money fixing up, what you could see, all the cosmetics, right? But not the substructure. See a lot of rotted wood under there, and he's in a bad situation. He's got a lot of money that now he's going to have to spend to fix his house up to just get it to where it's safe for them to live. And he's tried to go back after the seller, and he's just having a heck of a time. So at this point, he's biting a bullet and said, "I just got to get this done. I got my family's health that I got to worry about." So I did my estimate. I emailed it to him, and he replied actually today and said, "Brian, thank you for the estimate. I reviewed it. Looks great. You are $8,000 more than the other company that was here." And the next paragraph said, "However, I feel more confident in you and your company after meeting with you that we're going to use you guys." $8,000 difference.
You buy a lot of shoes.
You can buy more shoes, right? Yeah. So, but that was from me being sincere.
Yep.
And you know me, I am sincere. When I talk to somebody, I am so interested in you.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know your story.
Yeah.
I want to know how you got to where you're at.
Right.
I want to hear it. I want to listen. And that's what I did with this guy. I listened. He knew I listened. He knew I cared. He knew I wanted to hear his story.
Yeah.
I got him and was able to let him tell me his story.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what got us this job. And that's a huge, let me tell you something. I don't think I would. A big swing like that, $8,000 is a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
I think I would still go with the guy I didn't like. I mean, me personally, I might just go with a guy, because that's especially with the situation he's in, it doesn't sound like he has that kind of money to be spending. But, the way I conducted myself and the way I spoke to him, he felt more confident in us, which, I feel great about that. That's such a great compliment to pay somebody.
Yeah.
Without really giving a compliment, just accepting my bid, knowing that I was that much higher is the compliment.
Yeah, that's a big compliment.
That's huge.
Absolutely. It's absolutely
so.
a compliment.
But that goes to what we were saying. People buy from people they like.
Yep.
I don't even know the other company that even bid on it. I have no clue who it was. He didn't tell me. I didn't ask because I didn't care.
Right. It doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter to me.
That also shows you that there's a lot to be said about pricing yourself for what you're worth, because you know you're worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't always have to be the cheapest guy in town.
Correct.
You're better off being the best and being reasonable. You don't want to necessarily be the most expensive guy in town. But I was listening to something or reading an article once, and somebody said, how do I compete with that? How do I make more money? I don't have any more time. And the answer was to raise your prices. And he said, well, where do you compare versus the other people in town? And this was a photographer. And he said, well, I'm like right in the middle, maybe a little bit on the low side. And they said, are you better than the others? And he said, well, yeah. And he goes, well, then why aren't you priced that way? And he was like, I don't know how to answer that question. He's like, there it is. If you're better, then, you might not get as many customers, but you're liable to get better customers, and you're doing a better job. Now, if you're not better, then that's a different problem.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be the cheapest guy in town.
Correct.
But, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
so,
good.
Like I said, I just want to reiterate on what we were just talking about, because it's proven right there, and it just happened within the last, like I said, 48 hours. Yeah. So, but yeah, no. Other than that, man.
Yeah.
What else?
So you have 2 kids.
Yes.
And now I see on Facebook that your son is now doing odd jobs and riding a lawnmower around town, cutting grass.
Yeah.
Is he an entrepreneur in the making? Is he just is he just going to do the same thing you did?
My son, I have a daughter who's 12, and my son's 11. But yes, my son got the taste of money. And I was actually in Cincinnati a few months back doing some training or whatever, and he sends me a text with this 15, 20-year-old Cub Cadet tractor. And he said, Dad, can I buy this? And I replied, no, Brennan. We'll talk when I get home. He said, come on, I want to start my own.
Good.
Yeah. He says, he said, Dad, can I buy this? I said, no, Brennan. We'll talk when I get home.
Yeah.
He says, but Dad, I really want to start my own landscaping business or grass cutting business. I said, Brennan, listen. I said, I don't have time right now to talk about this. I'll come home. I'll look at it. If it's something that I think is right for you, we'll buy the tractor. About 2 hours later, I get a text, him sitting on the tractor. I bought it. So now I'm kind of happy and pissed at the same time.
Yeah.
And I said, how much you buy it for? He said, $150. I go, all right. He uses his own money.
Yeah.
He said, I just need a battery for it. So he was taken up to Tractor Supply, got a battery. So he got $200 in this thing, right? So I come home. I believe I come home on a Saturday. And I pulled in, and there's this tractor in my driveway and a trailer on it, my weed eater, my push mower, right?
Yeah.
In this and I get out, he's all smiles, and I said, Brennan, I told you not to buy this thing until I got back so we could look at it. I said, and that's when he told me, he's got $150 in the tractor, he's got $50 in the battery. But I also already made $280 cutting grass. I said,
son of a bitch.
What do I do? Yeah. How am I supposed to be pissed off now, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, all right, well, what else can I do to help you, Brennan?
Yeah.
We can take this.
Sounds like another story we already heard. So he's flipping the lawnmower, and he's going to go buy a better one.
Yeah. He's already already wants a new one. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So pretty much similar story. So he's only limited, or his clientele is limited to how far the tractor can drive there.
Yeah.
Because he can't, he doesn't have a truck. So he loads all the stuff in a trailer, and he pulls the trailer, with his tractor to the customer's home. So he's getting a good taste for business.
Good.
And all his money he makes, he puts it in an envelope in my gun safe. so he just stockpiles money. And he's already talking about buying his, a new tractor. So, I'll help him figure that out, but I won't buy it for him. No, it's just not the way. Doesn't work that way. Yeah. So he's got all the skin in this game is his.
Yeah. And
he knows that, so, I don't know if he'll carry on because he really wants to just come work with us. And I don't want to wish him, his childhood away here or expedite it any way possible. But I want to keep him young, obviously. But I'm looking forward to the day he's working with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good worker.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you think you're going to, we talked about education. Do you think you're going to try to push education on him? I don't push anything like that. He already says he doesn't want to go to school. My daughter, Brianna, she's talking about school. But I don't think she knows what she wants to do yet. But, the thing is, I think everybody is made to do something right from your little kid, and I think the personality of kids reflect on what they're going to do. Yeah. And you almost got to let them run with that. It's hard, especially kids that, are always debating with you, constantly. My daughter will debate. She hasn't beat me yet, but she'll debate with me all the time. And I get mad and I yell and scream and I punish, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't, show her that what she's doing is wrong, because what if she wants to be an attorney? Yeah. You have to debate, right? Right. So those are certain traits of these children that we get upset about, but who knows? Maybe that's what they're going to do. They're geared to do. Yeah. No different than a kid that wants to take apart engines or take apart stuff. Maybe he's going to be the greatest mechanic there ever was. You're holding him back by telling him, "Don't take that apart. Don't you dare take it apart." That's how I look at things. And you come home and your truck's in pieces in a garage. Yeah. It's not exactly a good thing. Yeah. Well, you know what? I've been told, with my own son, why do you let him do all that stuff? Because I want him to learn. Mm-hmm. The mind right now is just being groomed. I mean, it's so fresh. It'll absorb everything you throw at it, right? Let him learn. Let him start taking stuff apart, Yeah. Let him out there doing things that kids his age really aren't supposed to do, but who really says they're not supposed to do it? Right. Just other people that want to hold people back from doing things. Well, right? That's a whole thing, right? So all the negativity, you see everybody that tells you, if it was so easy, why wouldn't everybody do that? That's all that ever is. It's exactly. People that are just negative because their life didn't work out the way it was supposed to work, so now they're just going to try to shit on yours. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Oh, I've been told many times, growing businesses, can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're risking this. And what people don't know is, my life always wasn't like it is right now. We have a pretty successful business, and what I'm trying to say is it's not always going to be gravy, right? My business is, and I've left a lot out, but I'll tell you one story. When I had my one cell phone store, before Cricket Communication came in, I had this one cell phone store, and this is when we first started, because I left out a lot of that because we were just talking about businesses, but my businesses always didn't just flourish, and we struggled hard. I told you a story about us getting my wife buying me the register. Like I said, she was my girlfriend at the time. We just started dating. When I told you about her buying me the register, my friend gave me money to put in the drawer. We started making money, and that was, we were riding that wave pretty good, but then it died down, and
we had another store at the time that we were selling satellite TV, Dish Network, DirecTV. And I do remember things started to fizzle out, and we weren't bringing in as much money as we were before. And money was getting really tight. And I think my wife told me we had, again, we weren't married yet. I think she was telling me we had like $800 in our checking account. I'm like, oh man, what are we going to do? I remember sitting there talking to her about it. And that day, this penny saver rep came in or called me and said, hey, Brian, this satellite company that was on the back cover of the penny saver hasn't paid his bill. And we're taking him off the back cover. Would you like to be on the back cover? I said, let me call you back. Well, after I asked him how much it was, $850, right? And I remember talking to my wife, and she told me we had $800 left in our account. I'm like, what do we do? And she said, well, we can continue just paying our bills, hoping things get better, or we just get the back of that penny saver and advertise. So we either spend it on bills or spend it on advertising at least. Yeah, and that's coming from, like I said, well, I think we might have been engaged at the time. But that's coming from her, who wasn't an entrepreneur, grew up blue collar family, just like I did. She didn't have any influence, but here she's willing to take a risk. Now I think her risk, though, in wanting to take that risk, she obviously believed in me and knows that I can make things happen.
Yeah.
And I called the guy from the penny saver, said, I'll take the back cover. He said, all right, send the check here. I said, well, can we do a deposit? I'll send you half now and then half when it launches. Because I didn't have the $850 to send them, right? So we were able to do that. The penny saver launched, I don't know, it was on a Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it was. It launches. Back cover was beautiful. And the day it launched, the phone started ringing. I believe we sold 15 satellite systems on that one ad that went out. And I haven't sold 15 satellite systems. I don't think I sold 15 in a month, let alone 15 in one day, And I'm like, oh, we're back in it. But now I gotta try to find the money to buy all this equipment, because it was thousands of dollars. I can't remember. I think my parents or somebody let me use one of their credit cards to buy the equipment.
Yeah.
But that was actually the turning point of our business back then.
Yeah.
Was when we made that move. And because business you don't just start a business and it just keeps climbing. You hit pitfalls. You lose accounts. You things happen.
Yep.
You go from riches to rags pretty quick, right? And it can, and it does happen. And there's always some sort of pitfall. And we were in one at that time. We took the chance, took a risk, and we made it happen. But why I brought up that part of that story was, a lot of people don't know, but I put everything on the line 3 times in my life to start businesses, from everything I own to my homes to my cars to whatever I had to leverage, I leveraged. I have leveraged, like I said, everything I've owned 3 times, and 3 times I could have gone bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
But I was all in. No different than my son. We're talking about his tractor. I'm not going to buy the tractor for him. I'm not going to help buy the tractor. He's going to buy the tractor.
He's got to feel that.
You have to feel the burn. You have to feel the stress. Not that he's going to feel it, because he's in a different time of his life. But I'm referring to me. You have to feel the stress of losing everything. You have to feel the stress of not sleeping at night, not being able to eat,
yep.
the nausea feeling that you have, wondering if it's going to work. But that's the fuel that pushes you further. That's the fuel that keeps things going. you know. There was a motivational speaker. I heard this about a year ago. There was this kid who, I'm probably going to butcher this story a little bit, but there was this kid who, this young guy who wanted to become rich. So he walked up to this millionaire, and this millionaire said, or he asked the millionaire, he says, "Hey, I want to be just like you. I want to be rich. I want to be a millionaire." He says, "Well, if you want to be rich," he says, "meet me on the beach tomorrow, 7 a.m. Kids, oh man, this is great.
Yeah.
We're going to go swimming, right? So did you hear this one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So kid goes on the beach, 7 a.m., meets the millionaire. Millionaire says, "All right, let's go in the water." So he starts going out, and he's knee deep. He says, "Oh, this is great. Water's warm, you know, the sun's out, whatever." Goes a little deeper, waist deep, a little further, neck deep. Got out to where it was neck deep, and the millionaire grabbed him by the head and held him underwater, and just held him there. Brings it back up, and he's like, "What'd you do that for?" He says, "When I held you down, at that point in time, what was the only thing that you wanted?" And he said, "To breathe." He said, "Exactly." He said, until you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, you'll never go anywhere. You know, so hearing that from this motivational speaker to me means a lot too, because people think you just open up a store and, or he has a business, he's rich. They have no clue what you've gone through to even get to where you're at. Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about having your head underwater? Sometimes it stays underwater for months. Yeah. You know, some businesses, sometimes it's years, you know, but.
And even when you get your head out of water, sometimes you have to go back under.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to. And I shouldn't say you have to, but it happens. You don't want to, but it just happens. And you just got to remember how to hold your breath and keep on treading. Keep right. On going. But yeah, I thought that was one of the greatest things I ever heard. But it was, until you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, we'll go nowhere in life. And that goes for everything. It doesn't just go for business. It goes for everything in life. You're right. You know, but right. you have to want it. You have to have the drive. You have to have the skin in the game. You know,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, so that's why I agree. I think if you were to buy that tractor, it's not going to mean as much.
It won't take care of it as much either.
Right.
You know, it's different when it's yours.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
You know,
it absolutely does. Yeah, so that's interesting. That's interesting.
So, but yeah, you know, business has been good for us. You know, we, like I said, we have the restoration business. I did own a lighting business. I think you knew that. We had a business. It was a business I was just going to buy. It was a light bulb and ballast distribution business. And I was going to buy it from a friend of mine who was selling the company. I ended up not buying it, but I did keep a website. And the gentleman that he sold the company to, him and I worked out a deal where he would be the distribution center for all my orders. But it was all e-commerce. So I had that going for a little while. And then I own some real estate. And constantly always looking for that next real estate deal. Yeah. You know, we're actually working on one right now that I came across is a pretty good deal. You know, but you have to be, I was just telling a friend of mine, you have to be ready for that deal to happen. So you got to set yourself up financially to be ready to make that move, you know. And I don't want to lecture on how to do things, but you have to financially be ready. May it be, you know, leveraging your home. You don't have to just put debt on your home. You have a home equity loan, you know, line of credit, whatever it may be, credit card, whatever it is that you can get your hands on money, or you can get your hands on money as soon as that deal pops up. Because see, that deal doesn't stay there that long, you know. So if you're not ready to move, that deal goes to the next guy. Yeah, you know. So. But it's just, I don't know how we got on that topic. But
you have to have the courage to do it.
Oh, yeah.
How many times do people, and it just depends on the type of person, but that's what makes the entrepreneur successful, right? Just we're a little bit more risk adverse.
Yeah.
You know, when that deal shows up, how many people go, "Oh, I don't know if that'll work." Analysis paralysis, and then by the time they decide, you know what, I'm going to do it, it's gone. It's gone.
Exactly.
You got to be able to just do it, and I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to die trying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is.
But see, you using your own money to buy properties and investing in assets like that or investments like that, again, it's your skin in it. So if you have a partner that's financing, it's just not the same.
Right.
The drive isn't there. You know, the want to breathe isn't there. You know.
Yeah.
So you have to feel that suffocation. You have to feel, and oh, buddy, I'll tell you, there's been so many sleepless nights in my life. My wife can tell you, you know, the shakes and just the sweats and just, you know, it's been a roller coaster ride. And not saying it's all easy now, but it's definitely got a lot easier, you know, for me. Growing a business, less than just building one, you know, at this point. I built it, now it's growing. But I'm I work constantly, you know. There's no 40 hours, you know. I hate the people that say 80 because you're never really tracking your hours, you know. As an entrepreneur, you're working every day, all day.
All day and all night.
All day and all night, yeah.
Because you're on call.
Yeah. Well, not even. Our business, we have an on-call, but I'm saying as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
You know, you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about business.
Yeah.
You know, you take a shower, you're thinking about business.
When I'm laying in bed at night,
you're thinking about business. I mean, it's nonstop. So there's no hours. You know, you can't put a price tag on. Or I shouldn't say that. You can't put an hourly wage and pay an entrepreneur. You'd go broke because there's just no. There's no punching in, punch out. I mean, it's nonstop. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's you don't really get a break. You know, but you got to put the time in, and that's really the only way. I tell a lot of people, when you have a business, you know, because you get everybody that says you have a business, you can come and go as you want. You go on vacations, you do. To anybody that's ever had kids, around 1.5 years old, where they're crawling, they're crawling, they're still in diapers, still can't really feed themselves. That child constantly wants your attention. The business is that 1.5-year-old child. Yep. Constantly wanting your attention. Constantly wants to be fed, has to be changed, has to be clothed, bathed. That business is that baby. Right. It never grows up, though. Mm-mm. You know, your child will go through stages and eventually become self-sufficient. The business does not become self-sufficient. You know, the business is only as good as its owners and management. You know, and you have to baby that business. You have to be there working on the business nonstop. Yeah. All day long.
I have clients that they're coming in and telling me they're going to start a business, and I, you know, right from the very beginning, if they don't understand that whole thought that you start a business and you can come and go as you please and take time off. And now, do I have flexibility? Yeah, because if I need to go pick up my kids at school, or if I need to go I have flexibility. Mm-hmm. But I could be also sitting on the bleachers at a baseball game with my son and be dealing with an email and a text message while I'm working, because the business needs attention. Mm-hmm. Where the guy sitting next to me that works the 9 to 5, he punched out at 5. He's done. His brain's off and he's now watching baseball. And that never happens.
But I'm jealous of those people, by the way.
Are you?
Of their time.
Of their time.
Of their time.
I mean, we go on vacation and we'll go away. And I know you have your motorhome and like that, so you get the time away, but you're still working.
Yeah.
I'm still on the phone with the office. Like, what's going on today? Hey, I got an email. This person needs attention. Hey, call this person. Make sure this gets done. I mean, it's always going. We went on vacation last year. For the last 3 years, we've gone to the beach with my wife's family. The first year was just her parents and her sister, and then the second and third year we went with like aunts and uncles and cousins, and we got a big house in like Bethany Beach the last 2 years, and it's nice. I'm not a beach guy. First of all, like the whole idea of sitting on the beach for 4, 5, 6 hours at a time is like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm bored. The first day we were on the beach, and I don't even know how long it was, like 3 hours, 4 hours. We left. I told my wife, I'm like, if we're doing this shit tomorrow, I'm not going. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, this is awful. We're just going to sit here all day? She's like, that's what you do. You go to the beach, you sit here all day. I'm like, this is terrible. She's like, I don't understand what your problem is. And I was like tired, and I'm like, this is
sunburnt,
awful. Yeah,
dehydrated.
Like, this is terrible. Well, the next day, what I decided what was bothering me is that I was shut off. So I didn't have my phone because I was afraid that it was going to get water in it or sand in it. So I was like, I shut myself off. So it's 4 hours of not relaxing and staring at the waves. It was 4 hours of, I wonder what's going on at the office. Mm-hmm. I wonder if this person, oh man, I should have called that person. Oh man, I forgot to call that person back. Oh man, that's due today. It was just 4 hours of torture. Mm-hmm. So the next day I went in the kitchen, I got a Ziploc bag, and I put my phone in a Ziploc bag, and I zipped it up, and Amber goes, what are you doing? I said, staying connected. And I put my chair at the end of the water with my feet in the waves with my cell phone, and I answered emails, and I worked on a spreadsheet on Google Sheets. And she's like, you're messed up. And I'm like, this was way more relaxing than yesterday.
Yeah.
Having that phone and knowing that there was nothing wrong was like, now I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. I'm the same way. You know, we went down to Ocean City here this about a month ago or so, and you know, I'd set my alarm for 5:30, and the RV park that we were at, the internet sucked. Most of them do, but there was this resort that we're staying at had a coffee shop, and the coffee shop had its own Wi-Fi. So even though the coffee shop wasn't open, I could still pick up the Wi-Fi by sitting at the table outside of the coffee shop. So every morning I'd take my backpack, I'd walk down the coffee shop, and I'd sit there, and I'd sit there for an hour, 2 hours, and I'd do all my work. I'd answer all my emails. I'd do my estimates because, you know, my guys send me measurements. I do most of the estimating, and my guys send me all the sketches and photos and documentation, and I put it together reports. And so I'd sit there, and that's what I do. And this way, I didn't take time away from my kids and my family. So by the time they were up, I'm already back now, making breakfast, doing things for them, going on bike rides.
Yeah.
To them, I didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
You know, throughout the day, though, they knew I'd go back and make phone calls or do whatever, because there were some important calls that I had to take, but it is what it is. The reason why we're able to do what we do is because of what I do.
That's right.
Back at home. So it doesn't stop.
That's right.
Just because we're on vacation,
Yep.
you know? So again, it's 24/7, you know,
that business is paying for that vacation.
That's exactly right. Yeah. The paperwork I'm filling out now just paid for your vacation. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You gotta stay. You got to always be working on the business. You always got to be taking care of it. You got to be answering to all its needs.
Yeah.
You know, different than, like I said, that child pulling at your, you know, shirt saying he's hungry. I mean, your business does it all day long.
So you said something there that I think could be, I want to go out on. So you said you got to work on your business.
Mm-hmm.
At what point, and maybe at what point did you start working on your business and not in your business? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Because I see a ton of entrepreneurs and clients and business owners that have that trouble. And honestly, I have that trouble.
Yeah. You know, I'm not 100% there yet. I'm getting there. I thought I'd be there a lot sooner than I am. You know, by the time I sold my my cell phone stores in 2007, I was working on my business. I wasn't working in it.
Right.
You know, I had a bunch of employees and good employees, and they were doing awesome.
Yeah, the day-to-day, the grind,
I'd show up. Our stores opened up at 10. I'd show up every day at 9, and I'd leave at 11. That was my day. You know, I went in, still did the banking, still did the ordering, and that was it. Took care of any other like little issues that there may be. But other than that, everybody knew where to find me.
Yep.
And after that, I thought, well, shit, this is going to be easy. I can do anything now. I made it, right? That wasn't the case, you know. I know I was telling you my story a little bit before, but there were some other businesses I tried starting too, and you know, I opened up a shipping store, and you know, that store didn't produce for me what I thought it was going to produce, and I only had it for 3 months before somebody approached me and bought it from me, which was that was a godsend too, because I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, I you know, store's brand spanking new. How am I going to get myself out of this without taking such a huge loss? You right. know? And it was amazing that I was pretty upset about that decision that I made there to opening up, you know, to one of those stores. But again, when I got bought out, I didn't anticipate getting bought out. It was just something that happened to me, and you know, the deal was too good. I didn't want to walk away, so I did it without having a plan. You know, I was young too. I was 26, 27 when this all happened. You know, so I'm going back to my 20s when all this stuff, like real world stuff, is happening to me at such a young age. You know, and I didn't know what to do because I didn't have a plan, you know, and I didn't really have a mentor either, or somebody to go and ask to help me and guide me on what do you do when you sell a business? What do you do when you have this amount of capital that you're sitting on? What do you do with it?
Yeah,
I didn't know. I know now, but I didn't know then. Like I said, it was a sad time in my life, and it was happy and sad at the same time. But there was many businesses that I tried starting and just lost out on, you know, but and I've sold a few, you know, but that one particular business, you know, I got lucky. A guy came in. The one day I was so stressed. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with this store? And you know, I hate to say when you're down and out, that's when you pray and beg to God for things, but you know, because you want to make that a part of your day and always be thankful and praying and thanking God for everything you have every day. But I remember I was just really down, and I was just begging God, just tell me what to do, tell me where I should go with this. You know, what other, you know, I was just lost. And this was before I got into the cleaning business and restoration. I didn't know what to do. Begging God, praying, and just asking for a miracle. And actually, while I was talking to God, the door opened. So I went out front, waited on this customer. Really nice guy. And he was walking out, and he stopped and he turned around. He said, "Hey, would you ever consider selling the store?" Seriously. And I'm telling you this, but there's only probably 3 people that know this story.
This is about to go live on the internet.
Yeah. Well, I know, but I'm spilling my guts here a little bit. But yeah, he turned around and said, "Would you ever consider selling the store?" And I said, "Yeah." So we came back in and we started talking, and he said, "I know you just opened, so you don't have numbers to show me, but you know, my wife's retiring or whatever at the time, and she's looking for a job like this. She, you know, so I'm thinking we buy the store and she can work it and make it hers." And seriously, within 60 days of me talking to him, we had a done deal. Checks were cashed, you know, checks were written and handed to me, and I like I said, I couldn't believe it.
Is the store still open? Actually,
it was open for I think 8 years, and they were going to be done.
They
So
retired.
Yeah.
So they didn't lose the store. They were successful.
Yeah. They closed the store down. They tried selling it, and I felt bad because they couldn't get a buyer.
Yeah.
So I did feel bad, but they only had it up for sale for a couple months, and they said, "Look, we're done." He still works, and actually, they're the ones who actually got me started in wanting to RV, because they had an RV, and I loved it. Yeah, they were telling me stories, and after hearing the stories, I'm like, "Oh my God, I got to live these stories!" Right? And so what he told me was, with his business, he was going to be traveling more. They were going to buy a new RV, and he, with his traveling of the country, they're pretty much going to travel together. So instead of him just going all around and going business to business, doing his sales calls, now, because I think he does a lot of trade shows. It's always a trade show. Now his wife goes with him. So they closed down the store so they could pursue that. So they just bought a new motorhome, and they're driving around doing his work.
That's awesome.
But doing it together.
That's awesome.
Because all their kids are grown, and it's just the two of them.
That's good.
You know,
well, hey, you know what? That's a good story. Because it ended well. They were
Mhm.
successful in the store. You didn't sell them a dud.
Yeah. No, exactly.
That's good.
Exactly. No, they knew what they were getting. He knew exactly. He said, "We want to. This is what we want to do. We want to." Because they were going to buy another shipping store.
Was it like a UPS store, or was it like a?
Correct. Yeah, UPS, I believe, was taking back all their stores, and the one UPS store they were looking at to buy, they were going to buy that UPS store, but then decided to buy ours instead.
Okay, yours was not a UPS store.
No, we sold. We did everybody. We had FedEx, DHL, UPS, USPS. So the UPS store kind of just limited you to UPS.
Sure.
You know, but yeah, it was a shipping store. You sold office supplies and stuff like that there. You know, but no, it worked out for everybody. But again, like I said, you know, that was another situation I was in where I'm like, oh man, I made a mistake. You know, this isn't going to provide for me the lifestyle that I've now become accustomed to.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, one thing led to another, and that's, you know, what led me into pretty much getting into, you know, what I'm into today.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I think that taking that step from working in your business to on your business is such a hard step for so many people, where you to learn how to let go enough and delegate enough to be able, and not to forget about, you know, they consume themselves so much in the day-to-day operations of the business that they forget to take a high-level look at that business.
I'm getting better at that. I really am. And the original question was, when did that happen for me? Within the last year is when I'm starting to feel that gravitation of me being pulled back. I still go in the trenches. Trust me, when shit hits the fan, when towns are flooded and we're taking, you know, 30, 40 calls a day to go and help all these people, we're all hands on deck, you know, and I'm out there. I don't mind doing it. You know, I would like to be doing it all the time because I enjoy being out there and getting my hands dirty. The problem is, who's going to run the business, you know? So I got to take care of all the other stuff that goes with the business. And, you know, the thing is with that is, once you have people you can trust,
yeah,
you know, that's where it becomes a little easier for you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, to get to the point where you can trust them, you also have to give them that freedom and the room to do their own thing.
Right.
You know, micromanaging is something that I've done my whole life with people, and I still do it today, but at a different level. You know, I'm not constantly right there on them the whole time. You know, I give them the space.
How many employees do you have?
You know, we have 6 guys right now. You know, but you know, giving them space, letting them prove to themselves on what they can do is key, you know. And then it goes both ways too. When they feel that you are confident in them, they do a better job.
Yeah.
You know, they really do. You know, if you are constantly micromanaging, they constantly feel as if they are not doing it right.
Right.
and they're very cautious on the next move, or cautious on what they're doing, and being, I don't know if the right word is cautious, but being that they are being cautious on making those moves, mistakes happen,
right?
Because they're not doing it to the best of their ability,
right?
But yeah, I mean that's key. That's one of the points that I think is a big point on creating that freedom for yourself, on working on the business than in it.
Yeah.
It's nice when you're not in it. It really is. It's nice when you can watch it, go down the track. Yeah. And not have to be on that train.
Well, that's how you shift from growing to, or from building to growing, right? Mm-hmm. You used that earlier, where you're no longer building it, you're watching it, you're growing it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when you start to actually get time to grow it, because that's what you need to be doing, is to deal with structuring the business, creating procedures, policies, how to build it, or how to continue the growth of it, and how to prepare it for the growth, Mm-hmm. So if next year you end up tripling your revenue, you need to be able to manage that. I mean, Correct. I think there's just as many businesses going out of business because they can't manage the growth, mm-hmm. than not enough growth.
And it has been, we've had some, the last couple of years have really been great for us. I mean, we're growing leaps and bounds. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. It is hard, because there's so much more going on that I'm being pulled in so many different directions.
Yeah.
It's something that is not, it's something I'm not used to. Steady growth is awesome, but when you hit spurts like we have, where it's boom, you have no choice but to take care of business, right? And it's been stressful. Yeah. It's been very stressful. So I'm not actually in the trenches at this point. I'm working on the business, but I'm working on the business constantly, trying to keep up with demand at this point. Yeah. So I'm getting better at it. I do get stressed a lot, but I've learned to manage that stress too, and again, you're never going to know how to do it unless you do it. So, yeah, being stressed is a great way to learn how to deal with stress,
Yeah, absolutely. So when you first started, did you hire people right out of the gate?
No.
You did it yourself?
Do you mean the restoration business?
Yeah.
No, I just had part-time, guys that would come in and help, friends and everybody else that you could, because right now
Weasel into helping you.
What's that?
Weasel into helping you.
Yeah, exactly. So, you find guys, contractors, we've had a lot of policemen that, but they're done with their shift and want some extra hours. So those are the greatest ones to have, because they already have, salary, their benefits, everything. You don't need to offer them anymore. They just want more work. That's all. They just want to make
hungry
money.
For more money.
That's all it is. Yeah. So we didn't hire anybody right out of the gate. And now we still have, I guess now we're 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty much 4 full-time guys that, are there every day, well, plus myself, obviously. And then we have part-timers that work with us. And 2 guys that are part-time on a regular basis, I guess you could say. But we have a list of guys we call in, because we never know what we're going to have come in.
Yeah, you get busy in spurts, right?
Oh, yeah. So sometimes you need 20 guys.
Yeah.
And we just start making phone calls. I actually have a list on my phone. I just hit text, a big group text, and boom, who's ever available comes,
Yeah.
But yeah, so, employees is a tough one. That's actually one of the biggest problems I think, businesses have.
Oh, yeah.
Companies have.
Quality employees, people you can trust, people that are willing to come to work. And I really don't think any company is immune to it. A lot of people think when you're dealing with, more blue-collar types or restaurant types businesses, a lot of times people have this stereotype that they're the ones that have to deal with the hardest part of the employee thing, where you're getting, unskilled people sometimes or kids, and they're the worst, right? I don't think any company is immune.
Nobody's immune to it. A friend of mine does, I don't know exactly what his company does, but they do some stuff for the gas wells. And I don't know if they design them. Something with engineering. He pays his engineers $75 an hour. He can't find people.
Yeah.
He has the same problems that every other company has.
Yeah, it's every company has that problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's and you know, professional offices, people don't want to come to work. People want you know, it's
you know,
it's
in
crazy.
our business, you know, we still have the contractor. You know, we need the contractor type person.
Yeah.
You know, though, one of the hardest things for us to find is not the things. One of the hardest people to find are the ones that have a driver's license. It's amazing, simply amazing how many people come and apply for a job
with no driver's license.
without a driver's license. Yeah,
Because they've lost it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have clients that are contractors that do that have that problem, and even if they have a driver's license, they don't have a car,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't. Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
And that hurts us because, you know, our work isn't at one place.
No, you got
We
to
could be
drive
2, 3, 4, 5 places in one day.
right.
You know, we go to the job.
Right.
The job doesn't come to us.
Right.
You know,
So then you have to worry about, you know, getting this guy a ride, whether you got to go pick him up or another employee.
We don't
goes
do
to
that.
Pick him up.
Yeah, we
no,
won't. Yeah.
You can't.
we just won't.
And I'll tell you something. I've got different contractors, different clients that deal differently with their employees. And I'll tell you what, the ones that don't put up with the bullshit are the most successful ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no, I'm not letting you do that. No, I'm not going to pay you that. No, I'm not going to, you know, and you end up, I mean, I have a client that's a contractor that he's actually been very successful because he doesn't put up with the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you show up at a job site and it looks like you're still drunk or you're high, you're gone.
Yeah.
You know, he won't let him on the job site. Now he's doing contracting in, you know, typically bigger money houses and with, you know, nice houses, and people were in a really nice house. They're cognizant of what the contractors look like that are walking into it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't put up with the nonsense. You know, guy comes, can you pay me for next week early? No. He doesn't let them do it because once you start that, it never stops.
It doesn't stop. Yeah. You have to establish those boundaries early, though.
Yeah.
You know, and I've made the mistake. You know, I've done it numerous times. You know, and sometimes I still do it where you give somebody a little leeway. Once you give that leeway, they expect it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Well, you did it once. You did it already.
Yep.
You know, they don't know that I did it once as a gift.
Right.
You know, I didn't do it as something that we're going to do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think some people think that doing those things is treating your employees right and taking care of them because they'll take care of you. And I just don't think that that's the case. I think that establishing that hard line, like I'm not gonna do that. You know, because you know what? It's the guys that you're paying for next week early because they're hard pressed for money, and then next week they're not going to show up for work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's always those guys. And if you can't. It's always the guys that you bend over or you get wishy-washy on, and they're always the guys that take advantage of you.
Yep.
And so yeah, I'm firm with that with my clients. If they ask for advice, like don't, you know, you're the boss. Because as soon as you start to waver, man, it's like blood and water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I don't have the foolproof method of hiring people.
But who does?
There's nobody. You know, I've gone to classes on how to hire, and you know, it all looks great on paper.
Yep.
You know, and it all looks great up on the screen, but real life scenarios, it's every employee's unique. Yeah. Everyone is different.
Everyone's unique.
And to be a good leader, though, you have to be able to adapt to all of them. You know, you have to be able to, because everybody's personalities are different. It's hard to find everybody that has the same personality. You just don't find it.
So the key is to be able to maximize everybody's potential, and everybody's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. There's an entrepreneur that's on that's on social media a lot and has a lot of videos and like that. And he always said that he's not very good at hiring necessarily, but he's really good at knowing when to fire.
Yeah.
And he said that there's a lot of people that waver with that, and they're like, they feel bad about it, but he's like, you have to trust your instinct. Everybody lies in an interview. Everybody is going to give you their best at an interview, but it's whenever they're actually now an employee that you see, wait a second, they're full of shit. It's time to fire them. Don't think about it for 6 months and, well, I'll give them another chance. Fire them. Move on. Take it like on the chin. Go find somebody else. And that was his big thing, is that to say that you have the foolproof way of hiring people is nobody does.
Yeah.
Because there's no way, because the people sit at your interview and you ask them questions and they tell you what you want to hear.
Sure.
It's when they show you what they're actually capable of, and then you have to make the decision of, this wasn't the right guy. Time to go. Yeah,
it's a tough one. And, the more employees you have, there's the more issues you have too.
Oh yeah.
I kind of like where we're at right now. It's manageable. We have some great guys. Everybody gets along. We don't really deal with any, knock on wood, we don't deal with any like personnel issues. We don't have any of that.
Yeah.
So I consider ourselves pretty lucky.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the guys we have were just guys that started like, just part time. We needed help. They were there to, next day working. So it wasn't really like an interview process that we hired these guys. It was they're readily available to work right now. Bring them on.
Yeah. So you treated, that was, a smart way of doing it, because having those guys around part time, and you got to see them in action. So it wasn't like a formal interview.
Trust me, we weeded out a lot of people.
Yeah, it wasn't a formal interview, but you basically had a 2-year-long interview while they were part time learning.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So we've had a lot of guys that come out part time that actually are no longer even on the part time list.
They get deleted from
just get deleted.
That group text.
Yeah. The guy that we have a pretty strict policy on, especially the part time guys. If you tell us you're going to work the next day, you got to be there. One time we might let it slide. 2 times you never hear from us again.
Yeah.
And that's it. And the same thing with if we get rid of somebody, if we fire somebody, that's it.
Yeah.
Once you're gone, you're gone.
Right.
That's it.
Another thing I try to, because the problem is a lot of contractors have a hard time finding good workers. So they end up defaulting back to the people that, that guy was an asshole before, but I really need the help.
Yeah.
You can't fall into that.
Yeah.
Look harder. There's other guys out there.
There's a lot of guys out there. And I think with the economy doing what it's doing now, has helped with employment. I feel there's more people out there looking for work than there were before.
Really?
In my opinion, there is, because we've never had so many guys that wanted to work before. We always struggled, especially for part-time guys. Now it's almost like we get calls all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know really what changed or what motivated them, but but that's what we're seeing.
How do you advertise? Like, if you're looking for somebody, what's your...
just Facebook and social media. That's it.
Social media.
Yeah. Most of the guys we get are just from people that, see us looking for somebody and respond to the ad and private message,
Yeah.
But that's pretty much how we get everybody, So there's no scientific way of that we, process that we have that we use to find help,
Yeah. So as far as marketing your company and trying to grow, we talked before, you're marketing toward insurance agents and other contractors, plumbers and like that. How do you market to those people? We used to really hit them pretty hard. But I will tell you, insurance agents, everybody's knocking on their door. Every restoration company's knocking on their door. And every restoration company is the best. They're tired of hearing the same story, So
I don't really market myself. I'm not really out there knocking on their door anymore, as much as I am trying to take care of their insured, their clients, the best way we can, because their customer that has now become my customer is my best source of advertising. Yeah. Because then they go back and they tell their agent, you know, these guys were great. You know, I'm glad I found them, And then if we follow up with a phone call, and I'm starting to do that a little bit more, I'm starting to, I shouldn't say this on here because I'm giving my competitors my
your secret
my
sauce.
secret sauce. But you follow up.
Yep.
And you say, you know, hey, Mr. Jones, I don't know if you know this or not, but you're insured, you know, Mr. Brown had a loss at his home. You know, is there anything?
So you're actually following up with the agent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a trick. I might have to edit this one out.
Never.
But yeah, there's we used to market heavy to the plumbers too, and we got ourselves in with a few good ones, and you know, we used to pay. Well, we still sometimes pay it, like a referral fee. Mm-hmm. They send us a job. Everybody was doing that. You know, we're to the point, or at least this one big plumbing outfit we work with said, don't send us anymore. We don't want it. You keep it or donate it. Do whatever you want with it. We are so happy that we have you and how well you take care of our customers. That's all we ask. We don't want it. We stop wasting your money. Stop sending us checks. So this company has been giving us work for years without wanting anything in return other than taking care of their customers. And they're phenomenal. They are phenomenal. But then you have some other guys that all they're in it for is the referral money. You know, so you have both. Yeah. And we like both. We work with both, but there's something to be said for a company that says, you know what, we just want you to. Their head's on right. Yeah. They're focused right. They're focused on who feeds them.
Right.
Not me. Their customers.
Right.
It's their customers, their clients that are feeding them.
Yeah, and then on the return side, if somebody's asking you for a plumber, you might be more likely to send them there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know which ones are people persons.
Yeah.
The what we talked about earlier. People buy from people they like. So I'm gonna send guys that I know they're gonna like.
Personable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Guys are gonna like.
Yeah.
But other than that, marketing wise, we actually, my cousin does, he has an advertising business out of Johnstown, and we hired him a few months ago to start really marketing us online. And it's been, I think we're coming up on 2 months actually. And whatever he's doing, I know there's a lot of Google advertising, but it is working. We're starting to see an influx of phone calls coming in, and we've been on Facebook and stuff like that, but I think I can kind of one hand how many jobs we've gotten from that. But the word of mouth, the referrals, and the Google searches, and keeping a clean name, mm-hmm. and all our reviews are all positive, all 5 stars or higher. That's huge, especially when somebody's Google searching or on Angie's list. They're not going to the 4-star guy. They're not going to the 3-star guy. They're going to the 5-star. No different than you looking at a product on Amazon. You're looking for a coffee pot. What do you hit? You can either hit the sort from highest to lowest price, or you sort from highest reviews.
Yep.
Your price is one factor, but they're looking for the reviews.
Yeah.
And when you get that coffee pot, you're not going to the 4-star 3. You're going to the top one. You're going to the 5-star review. No different than how people shop for contractors.
Yeah.
So the key is to have a clean name, great reputation. And I always say that the most successful contractor, or the key to being a successful contractor, is very simple, and the tip I'm going to tell you might blow you away, but all you have to do is answer your phone or call people back right away.
Yeah, you know what?
That's all you got to do.
It's the key to all businesses. And it's not always as easy. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
It's tough.
Look how many phone calls I've missed while we were sitting here.
I know.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is hard.
It's tough. And I always feel bad. And I have clients that sometimes slip through the cracks and they're, I don't get back to them. And it's stupid.
Well, the internet has ruined people. It's ruined them by instant gratification. If you need to know something, you have the answer in 30 seconds.
Yep.
And you're upset if you don't have it in 15 seconds. Right? If you want to price it or want to buy something, you go to Amazon and boom, you have it ordered within 30 seconds. But you're upset because Amazon Prime gets it to you in 2 days and not one. Okay? Everything is so instant. So when they call you, they expect you to answer because at that time they're calling you, they're your only customer.
Yeah.
In their mind, who else could you be talking to?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm calling you. I am your customer calling you. Why don't you don't want me as a customer?
Yeah.
But no, I'm telling you.
It's
I do get it. And I will tell you, as being that we're so busy, it's getting harder and harder for me to be able to, because I take on most of the phone calls. I talk to most, so I'm out there. I'm the PR guy, right? And I try to communicate as best I can. And I was really good at it when we weren't so busy. Now that we're really busy, it's getting harder and harder for me. I was just thinking the other day, maybe I should, have somebody else taking some phone calls. This way, when people are calling, at least, even if they get somebody to answer and say, I'll take the message, I'll have them give you a call. Because everybody wants to talk to me. So if they get that answer and knowing somebody heard them and listened to them, they feel much better.
They do. And that brings you back around to working on your business, not in your business. Mm-hmm. Returning those phone calls and answering every question, and sometimes all of that stuff, and sometimes it's questions that other people in your office can answer, gets you tied up on things that keep you from working on your business.
Correct. Yeah.
Keeps you in the trenches. And sometimes it's tough to get out of there, So that's a hard part. That makes it really hard to bridge that gap and then to start acting like the CEO.
Yeah.
Instead of just another guy working for your company.
Yeah. Well, and I'm at that point now where, now I got to almost delegate how the calls are coming in.
Right.
So I might have to bring on that next person, and take the phone calls and answer the questions. When we're real busy, I try to, with our answering service, our I don't want to call it an answering service, but the system we use, you can direct phone calls however you want.
Sure. So
we have 3 people that take phone calls. So the first one that gets it answers it. But when we're not busy, I like to answer all the calls. So I stop forwarding to other people and I just take them myself because I know I'm going to answer these calls. I know I'm going to have all the answers for the customer, Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a tough one to juggle too. It's just another aspect of everyday business that goes on that you have to be paying attention to.
A friend of mine has a tree service company,
mm-hmm.
and he was growing fast, and he was taking all the calls, and he was taking all the text messages, and because that's the other aspect of this is that there's so many different ways to get a hold of you now.
Oh yeah.
And clients use every stream of communication
mm-hmm.
possible, so you're expected to respond to your text messages, Facebook messages, emails, voicemails. You know what I mean? It's
mm-hmm.
like, Jesus Christ, talk about overload.
Yeah.
But he was in that position where he was the guy taking all that, and he took that step and he hired a girl for the office. And I talked to him lately, and he's like, I don't know why I waited so long.
Yeah.
And now it's to the point where I'll text him and be like, hey, buddy, can you come out and look at a tree? And he's like, call my office and talk to me. And I'm like, what? I'm your friend. I don't want to call. But he's like, that's the system. That's the process. You got to call her. She'll put it on my calendar. I'll come see you. Yeah. And it works.
Yeah.
So now he's being more productive. And now he's out there bidding jobs, and his guys are busier, and he's making more money. And, so it's, and that's another part of the gap of that ladder that we have to to climb, that when do you get that new employee? Because sometimes you need an employee to make more money, but you need more money to afford the employee. Mm-hmm. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And sometimes it's just saying, I got to do it.
Yeah.
You go find that guy, and then you go out and you hustle your ass off.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he had to do, because that girl answering the phone really isn't producing. She's not making him any money. Mm-hmm. She's just allowing him to make more money.
Yeah.
You know, so that could be that's a situation that we deal with. It's a decision we have to make, is when do you say, well, it's going to get tight here for a little bit because I got to hire somebody. Mm-hmm. And because I can't do this anymore myself, so I got to hire somebody. It's going to get tight here for a little bit. I just got to get out there and hustle and get some new clients.
Yeah.
So
that's a tough one, man. We've been there, and that's a hard decision to make, because it's a very expensive decision.
It's an expensive decision, and you don't want to toy with people's lives. Mm-hmm. You get somebody to hire somebody, and maybe they quit a job, and maybe they make a life change to come work for you. You got to make it work, man. Because 3 months later, there's no do-overs. There's no, hey, sorry, man. I mean, you can, but it's kind of screwed up. Yeah. You don't want to tell that guy, yeah, sorry, I guess I screwed up here. I can't afford you.
Yeah.
So, you got to make sure you know what you're doing. That's a tough decision to wrap your head around. That's something to keep you up at night.
Sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, people like us, we're never afraid to work. So one thing that I always divert back to is, even when money's tight and there's only $800 in the account or whatever it might be, I can always go work.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can always, I'll find something. You know what I mean? I'll go do something.
Yeah.
I can earn money, and if it's a difference between it's going to take a cold day in hell before I go work for somebody else again.
Yeah.
I'd rather go start selling shit, selling toys and stuff like that. But it's just, I've never been afraid to work. I'm hungry. I'll go hustle.
Well, that's actually I think what makes you an entrepreneur. Yeah. Being willing to do anything to make that dollar.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I hear all the time how money isn't everything. Find something you like. Who likes to work?
I like money.
Yeah, the thing is, here's the thing: you're actually going to go. You have to work regardless, right? It's the only way to make money. So you have so many years until you retire. Why not go out there and make as much money as possible? Who cares what you're doing? Who cares if flipping burgers is going to get you to retirement quicker?
Then flip some burgers.
Hell yeah. Flip 2 at a time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's just, so if you're going to be out there working regardless, you might as well go and make as much money as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it. So that's why there's no limitations to what I will or will not do. I will do anything, whatever it is, whatever it takes, and that's the drive you got to have,
because you want to breathe.
You want to breathe. Yeah. And, I lost my train of thought there for a second. But that's where you being hungry and hustling, it's amazing how opportunities find you. It's amazing. You know how they say you got to be in it to win it and things like that. Well, it's true. I have a saying, one of my favorite little quotes is, luck favors a body in motion. Deals find me all the time. Not because I'm lucky. It's because I'm out there doing. I'm out there meeting people. I'm out there doing stuff. I'm out there promoting myself. And then when somebody says, hey, you happen to know somebody that does this? As a matter of fact, I do. And that could be that $1 million job. That could be that job that takes me from, B to C.
Yeah.
That might be that job or opportunity that gets me to the point where I can hire 2 or 3 more people and not feel that stress that we were just talking about.
Right.
So it's amazing how the harder you work. And the more time you put in,
Yeah.
how many more opportunities present themselves.
And you said the word put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing that I've noticed. And I've been doing more marketing on social media, hence a podcast.
Yeah.
And I feel like putting myself out there, and I'm not really surprised I have a podcast. I'm not a really outgoing person when it comes to like putting myself out there. I'm kind of shy.
Mm-hmm.
If I go into a networking event, like the part where like everybody go around the table and introduce yourself, I'm like, by the time it gets to me, I'm sweating, my armpits are wet, and I'm like, but if you force yourself to get out there, so like, I agree with you in the fact that word of mouth advertising is the best, and I see a lot of this social media advertising is like word of mouth on steroids, because you've got an audience of however many people. You know, how many Facebook friends do you have? You know, now granted, you probably don't talk to more than a tenth of them. You know what I mean? But they know who you are.
Sure.
And when you put yourself out there, whether it's in a 5-minute video while I'm driving down Hunter Road talking about corporations,
yep,
all of a sudden you're in front of people's faces and they think, I have this problem and I bet he could solve it. So doing little things like that, your phone starts to ring.
Yeah.
But it's all putting yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
The work finds you, the jobs find you, the deals find you if you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, in the little bit of social media work that I've done and the podcast and putting myself out there, the phone is rung.
Mm-hmm.
The phone, and when people call and say, hey, I was thinking, I have this question, and it's people I haven't talked to in a long time. And putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Putting yourself in front of people, and then all of a sudden they start to click and be like, I bet he could help me with this. And it's huge. It's huge. But it's word of mouth is what it is. But these people know who you are. And or they know somebody because you've got, however many mutual friends on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it goes back to your reviews and everything like that. All that stuff online is so critical.
Oh, it is, and that's how people shop today.
Yeah,
you can't even. I haven't been on a date in 18 years, right? So, people nowadays, before they go on a date, are pretty much looking at your social media. They're looking at your reviews.
They know everything
about you. They know everything about you. Yeah. So there's no hiding it from anybody anymore. So, even employers, you get somebody's name, you're boom. You're looking them up.
What a great point. How about the fact that how antiquated is a resume?
Oh yeah.
I don't need a resume.
I just look at your Facebook photos.
I'll just look you up on Facebook, and I'm like, they posted what? Next.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because see, like you said, the interview is a bunch of lies.
It is.
The real world stuff is right there in front of you.
Yeah.
30 seconds away, right? Yeah. Actually, no, 10 seconds away.
10 seconds away. Yeah. Just type it into Facebook and their whole life. And people put stuff on Facebook, and I'm like, people read that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people don't care.
Yeah.
But no, that's huge. I can't tell you everybody I've ever hired or ever even considered hiring. You look them up on Facebook. You look them up on LinkedIn. You look up, you know way more about somebody for 5 minutes on their Facebook page than you do on that resume.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But so social media has changed everything.
Oh yeah,
everything. So, well, buddy, it's over 2 hours.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's just amazing how fast it goes.
It does, yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any profound advice to an aspiring entrepreneur?
Well,
put you on the spot.
No, that's all right. I think what I'd like to, maybe my little advice to people thinking about getting in the business or becoming an entrepreneur, or even just, you have a certain goal in life that you're trying to, accomplish or reach. I think the thing is you need to, again, put yourself out there and educate yourself on business. But what I'm trying to say is, I guess, reach out and find a mentor. You really need a mentor. I could have saved myself probably a decade of mistakes if I just had that right person to talk to, you know. And it was my own fault because I didn't make those phone calls. I didn't go and introduce myself to business owners and say, "Can you help me? You know, I want to do what you're doing," or something like that. Yeah. Can you show me the way? You know, it's funny because I opened up my first cell phone store, and I was young, obviously, and didn't really know that you had to pay the sales tax after you collected it. So I remember hiring an accountant, and he was explaining to me how, because I never knew, like, we were collecting tax. I didn't know who to pay. I didn't know where. I thought you just collected sales tax, right? I never knew any.
Just an extra 6-7%.
Whatever it was, yeah.
Nice.
And he said, no, this is how it's done, you know. But again, that's just to show you how crazy I was in just jumping in without knowing. You know, I was the kid who jumped in the pool without looking at the mark on the side and said, 1 foot deep. You know, I mean, I just was all in. You know. And I've calmed down a lot. I've matured and learned and made a lot of mistakes by doing that. But you know what? I'll tell you, the mistakes I learned, I call them college credits, because every mistake you make as an adult costs you money, and especially in business. And it's always $1,000, $2,000. It's always a mistake that costs you thousands. I never get upset about those anymore. I just say to myself, college credit, because a college credit is about $2-3 grand, right? That's if I have my numbers right, but at a really good school,
more than that.
Yeah. So that's what I call my mistakes. That I have to pay for, because I know I'll never make that mistake again.
Right.
Now I know.
Yeah. Still cheaper than a college education.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like I said, I think you need to reach out. You need to talk to entrepreneurs. You need to get into some groups, business owner groups. Hell, any more on social media. There's so many. Even I'm part of all these sales and marketing groups.
Yeah.
And people are constantly putting stuff on there that they're doing and this and that. Get yourself out there, learn as much as you can, and ask the right question. Ask any question, but reach out to the people that you feel confident that could help you.
That have walked the path.
Walk the path. It'll save you a lot. It'll save you so much in time.
Yeah.
In time, and not only just money but time.
So one of my things, and I'm going to agree with you 100%. So one of my things that I've talked about with, and to go back to the dysfunctional college education system, mm-hmm. right? I think you're better off if you think you want to do whatever in life, whether it's business, whether it's going into politics, whether it's whatever. I think that somebody at 18 years old is better served finding somebody in that field, going up to them and saying, out of high school, you've got no debt, you've got no responsibility. Mm-hmm. Go up to them and say, I want to work for you for free. I want you to teach me everything you know, whether it's running a bar, whether it's being an accountant, whether it's being a restoration. Mm-hmm. I want to follow you around with a broom, with a whatever, for 6 months, and I want you to teach me everything, and I will do it for nothing. Because in 6 months, you'll probably either know, this is awful, I don't want to do this, or you're going to learn more in that 6 months from somebody that maybe ran that bar for 20 years or has had an accounting company for 40 mm-hmm. years. You're going to learn more in that 6 months than you'll ever learn in 4 years of college. So all these when I went to college, I switched majors like 4 times. Started in political science. 2 years later, this is terrible. I quit. Then I went to engineering, and I realized that I don't understand science. Chemistry and physics, forget it. And then I went to computer science, and I took an elective accounting class. Or not an elective, it was a required class. I had to take accounting. And I'm like, man, I kind of like this. And took a test and got an A. And my GPA at the time wasn't very good because I wasn't really happy. I didn't know what I wanted. Mm. Took my first test, got an A. Took my second test. I got 100%. The professor that was teaching it was the head of the accounting department. Nobody got 100% on her tests. She pulled me aside at the end and she's like, "What's your major?" I said, "Computer science." She said, "After today, it's accounting." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I like this." So we actually got together. We met. She said, "Come to my office. We're going to go through what you have, what credits you have." Because I told her, I'm like, "Listen, I'm 3 years in. I just want to graduate, for God's sake. I don't want to be here for another 4 years."
Yeah.
She said, "Come to my office. We're going to talk. We're going to look at what you have, see what it takes." I said, "Okay." So I went, sat at her office, and she looks at what I have and what I still need to take in order to graduate. And she's like, "Wow, it looks like it's going to take another," it was going to be like 3 or 3.5 years. I'm like, I can't do that. She's like, "All right, listen. There's one class is not offered until whatever this fall semester or spring semester. It was going to set me back a whole year." She said, "I'll do an independent study with you. I will teach you this class one-on-one over this summer. That'll put you a year ahead, and you'll be done in 2 more years." And I'm like, "I'll do that." So I did it. She actually taught me at Murraysville Library. We met twice a week.
That's awesome.
And she taught me management accounting or like cost accounting. And it clicked. My GPA went up. I started going to more classes because I'm like, I like this stuff. And it just all worked. The moral of the story is that it took me way longer to graduate, way more money than I needed to. I graduated with all kinds of extra college credits because I had bullshit political science classes that I couldn't fit anywhere.
Yeah.
So it cost me an arm and a leg to get out of college to finally find what I wanted. And then I graduated college, and mind you, I had some really great professors that taught me a lot. But they taught me the textbook way of doing accounting.
Yeah.
That's not how necessarily you do accounting, especially in small business. You know what I mean? So you have to, so then after school, I got a job in accounting, but then I started working with another accountant that owned his own business. And he showed me, this is how this actually works. This is what you do. This is how you build a business. This is what you do. This is what, he taught me how you run a business, how you run an accounting business. I learned more from him. And he never paid me a penny. Yeah. I worked alongside with him, and he helped me build my business. But I always had my own business, and he never paid me anything. I was never an employee of his. Yeah. He showed me the way, and I earned my own money. And I think, and I've actually heard entrepreneurs now that are selling their ebooks and stuff like that say, go work for somebody for free, go, get a mentor to help you and do this stuff. And I'm like, I did that before it was cool. Yeah. That's just what happened to me. But I learned more from him about how to run a business like this than I ever learned in school. And I am a huge believer in that. Go ask somebody. If you want to open up a bar, and everybody wants to be a restaurant owner, everybody wants to because it's the cool thing. I want to go open a bar. Go work with a bar owner. I know one, and he gets up at 2 o'clock every morning to go shut his bar down, and he works until 6, 7 o'clock at night sometimes. Goes to bed and starts over again at 2 o'clock in the morning. He's never taken a day off. He works 7 days a week, and he hasn't taken a vacation in 26 years. It's not an easy job. No. He does very well. Go work with him for free. He'll teach you what it's like to burn a bar. And then after 6 months, you might be like, this. Or you might know how to run a bar. Sure. So I agree with you 100%. I think
you got to reach out. You got to reach out to the people who have already been there, done that. Yep. Save yourself save yourself the time and save yourself the money. And the headaches that go with it. Yeah. But yeah, it's like I said. Now, if I had to do it all over again, I would definitely seek out a mentor of some sort, and just ask the right people the right questions. But again, you never know what the right questions are. Right. So just got to keep asking questions and learning as much as you can from these people that have been there.
So now let me ask you this. Now that and I don't want to say you've made it because you're making it. You're still working. You're still, are you in a position now, or are you looking forward to the position where you become the mentor?
Yeah, it's funny because I do have people that I guess I mentor now, that talk to me about things they're doing now in their lives that they weren't doing before they met me. There's one guy in particular that we talk often, and he's taking my advice on a lot of things, because he wants that. I know he wants that financial freedom. I know he wants to have. I taught him about assets and liabilities, right? And how owning what he has is what everybody thinks is an asset is not an asset, right? Yeah, our columns are a little different, right? Mm-hmm. So, it started with the house.
Sounds like somebody that's read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Actually, I have him reading the book right now. Yeah, he's on chapter 5, I think he told me.
Every new entrepreneur should read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I don't care who you are. Read Rich Dad, Poor Dad book is what got me here to where I'm at. Mm-hmm. I was introduced to that book back in mid-90s when it came out. And I've loaned my book out a few times, and I didn't get it back actually after the last one, but it was getting pretty beat up. It was read so many times, but this gentleman, I have him reading that book, and we were just talking just a little bit ago, and he was telling me that it's amazing. Like why didn't they teach us this? Why doesn't anybody teach us this in school? Oh. They're not.
They teach you how to be an employee.
That's exactly right. And they train you. It's weird. I'm not a government conspiracy guy, but the government holds you back. And I say that you're trained from an early age, right? To go to school. You wake up at 7, you get there for 8. You're there till 2:30, 3 o'clock. You get a break in the morning, you eat lunch at noon, break in the afternoon. Sounds like your regular job, right? Mm-hmm. They're training you to become an employee. Mm-hmm. They're training you to wake up early, get ready, be there for 8. You take a break, you take a lunch, you take another break, and you go home, mm-hmm. right? Your school day mimics the work day that you're going to have one day. So I'm sure it was done by design. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but you're just trained at such an early age to do the same thing you're going to do as an adult. You're miserable at school at such a young age, and you're going to be miserable again when you're older working for somebody else and going through the same motions, entrepreneurism isn't for everybody. It really isn't. But to the ones that really want it, that really want to succeed and really want to make a ton of money, you have no choice but to become that entrepreneur. You have no choice but to start doing things on your own. I was always the opposite. And no matter what everybody else around me was doing, I was the guy by myself doing something different. To this day, I will never, but I don't ever mimic. And I have this discussion with my kids, whatever's in style, I never jumped onto. I still to this day, I don't do it. What everybody else is listening to, I don't do. I'm always trying to be the guy that's doing the opposite. I'm always trying to be the guy that's doing my own thing. Like I said, and if everybody else is doing it, I don't want to. That's just the way I am. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, it's just one of those things that, again, it's not for everybody, but to those who want to be independent and really want to get what they're really worth, you have to be out on your own. You just have to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. And that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, mm-hmm. I'll tell you, I have a copy of it. I've lent it out. Didn't get it back. Bought another one. And actually, I can't even tell you how many times I've read that book.
I know, me too.
Because whenever I hit that tough spot in business, that part where I'm like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? What do I do here? I read it again.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way.
Read it again. and then it puts you in a mindset like, okay, I got this. I can do this. It gets you in that mindset, and it makes you want to take over the world. I don't get any money for sponsorships.
Yeah, but obviously me either.
No, but if somebody were to listen to this podcast and be inspired to then I would feel like that was a mission accomplished, because that book is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but again, that's what motivated me to really push forward. You know, once I was taught about money and taught about assets, liabilities, it's amazing. It's amazing how it's the opposite of what you were taught. Yep. It's amazing.
Yeah, your house is not your biggest asset.
No, not at all.
It's a liability. Costs you money. It does not make you money.
Not unless you own the real estate company. No, the real estate company that owns your house that you rent your house from now. And now we're talking a different story.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Now we're a strategy. That's a whole different podcast.
That's it. That's all. Yeah, exactly.
Podcast. No, I think that's awesome. I think we did a good job here. It was a pretty good episode. So if anybody listening has any water restoration needs, call Brian Marra. Look at Unfloodit.
Unfloodit.com.
Unfloodit.com. It's actually linked on my website at jerrykenna.com. And Brian's going to get a better picture so you can actually see his face.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's about it.
Well, I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for the opportunity and the time. And
I appreciate you coming on. This is going to be a good one. So
awesome.
All right, buddy.
Thank
you very much.
All right. Thank you.